Welcome to the podcast. I'm William.
And I'm Kat.
And that makes, well, if you're over there, I'm over here, and this is a short script. I guess this is going to be a dash of info.
Yeah, yeah. And we're doing little things you want to know.
Absolutely. So I have a question for you. I mean, obviously the listeners already looked at the title and been like, yeah, why? So have you ever wondered why we knock wood? I mean, we all say it, but have you ever just stopped to wonder why?
All the time. All the time. I definitely have wondered where this superstition came from and
Yeah.
why would? Why nothing else?
And usually you knock wood when you say something good or something good happened. Let's just say that, hey, I didn't get sick all year. And then you quickly look for a surface and say, oh, knock on wood.
Right.
Uh, but have you ever just stopped to wonder, is it just in America or the United States, or is it a universal gesture that's found in many cultures throughout the world, you know?
And of course there's different variations of that too.
There is. So, today I guess we're going to be tracing why we knock wood from ancient pagan rituals to, well, modern day superstitions.
Right, right. Why does knocking on wood or what does knocking on wood mean? So, for our modern understanding, it's a way to avoid jinxing yourself after saying something positive. So, like William said, you didn't get sick all year. Knock
Yeah.
on wood or touch wood if you're in the UK. But it's a symbolic gesture of protection, warding off bad luck or tempting fate. And it's found worldwide with, minor cultural twists.
So, here's a fun fact. In Turkey, people tug on their earlobe and knock on wood twice after boasting or kind of blending, the gesture with superstition. But I have a question. So, where did this instinct come from? And the answer really takes us deeper into the roots of human belief, where wood wasn't really just a material, but it was something sacred.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you got, the Celtic and Druid traditions. Ancient Celts and Druids believed spirits and gods lived in trees, especially oaks, ash, and hawthorn. And so trees symbolized life, strength, and divine protection.
Yeah,
That's
so touching or knocking on a tree could summon a spirit's protection, or it could be just to thank them for the good fortune. And knocking, it might prevent spirits from overhearing boast and thus avoid attracting mischief. So, okay, so touching wood says, okay, yeah, I done this good. Knocking on wood is boasting about something.
right. And the fun fact here is in Celtic mythology, the oak was sacred to Tyrannus, the thunder god, a symbol of strength and protection. So your knocking on oak might have been an early act of reverence or connection.
Okay. So Greek and Roman traditions, because they got to throw their hat in the ring as well, and their belief in dryads or tree spirits that could bless or curse humans. So touching a tree invoked their favor. So in other words, if you want to appease the spirits, you could do so by touching a little wood.
Indigenous European customs where trees were used as wishing trees, and that's where people left offerings or touched bark while making a wish. Over time, touching the tree evolved into touching wood.
So, interpretation. So, the gesture likely began as a spiritual communication, either seeking protection from tree spirits or thanking them for luck. I really kind of like this idea. You're getting in touch with the spirits because wood was it was everything to them. It was like gold for us today, or because
Right.
because because it brought them warmth, it brought them structure, housing, um what else? Weapons, like boats, like wood was everything to these cultures.
And so, as paganism declined and Christianity was spreading, old beliefs were reinterpreted. So, touching wood became associated with touching the wood of the cross as a symbol of Christ's protection. And churches often claimed to hold relics of the true cross, and believers touched or kissed them for blessings or safety. And over time, this practice could have merged with the older pagan tree rituals.
Mm, I kind of like before the Christian influence because, getting in touch with Mother Nature, that seems more logical to me. And I don't really think, I know that some Christian churches claim to have a relic from the time. They really can't be proven. But But by the Middle Ages, people might say they were touching wood not to call on spirits, but to call on divine protection, a fusion of faith and superstition. And I think this is kind of what took hold here.
Right. And then folklore and linguistics spread. All right, so the phrase knock on wood appears in English language folklore by the 19th century. In Britain and Ireland, though, touch wood was the common version. In America, knock on wood gained popularity, possibly influenced by immigrant traditions. But the superstitions were passed orally, especially among sailors, travelers, and rural communities, and even evolved with local customs.
And children's games of the times, in the 1800s, they included something called Tiggy Touchwood. And th- this was a version of tag where touching wood made you safe. Did you ever play freeze tag as a kid?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, this game, freeze tag, hide and seek, whatever the case may be, children would go and touch wood or grab a tree or whatever it was, and they would be safe from being it or being out. So this may have reinforced the idea that wood offers some sort of protection. But why did this superstition stick around? I think it really kind of comes down to sense of control because humans naturally seek patterns and cause and effect, to kind of blend those relationships. So, knocking on wood kind of offers a small, comforting illusion of control over, well, fate.
Then you have social reinforcement. We see others do it, parents, friends, and pick up the habit. It's part of a shared social language, like saying "bless you" after you sneeze. And there was a fun social experiment done, something similar to this, where you had people in a waiting room, and all these people were getting up when a bell rang and then sitting back down, unbeknownst to people outside of the experiment. Well, after about the third or fourth time, the one person that didn't know about the experiment started standing up when the bell rang and sitting down. And then that just kind of carried on and carried on. And then a new person came in and he's like, why are we standing up? And she's like, I don't know. They were doing it. So,
I've seen social experiments like that. There was this one show, it was on Curiosity Stream. I can't remember, but they did some sort of social experiment like that, but they did stuff where a bell would ring or somebody would walk out, everybody would get up. Like they did all kind of stuff. One was an elevator. And so when you get an elevator, what do? You turn back around and face the door, right?
mhm.
So everybody that was on the elevator before this person got on were facing the opposite of the door. And every time, I want to say out of 10 people, nine of them would get on, look at everybody else, and face backwards just to have that social acceptance. You know,
Yeah.
okay.
And then you have cultural longevity, and that's passed through generations in popular media. Even skeptics do it, just in case. And the fun fact here, psychologists call this magical thinking the belief that your actions can influence unrelated outcomes. And it's deeply human and shows how old rituals quietly shape modern habits.
My grandmother used to say knock wood, and I maybe I picked it up from her. I don't know. I very distinctly recall her saying, knock wood. Maybe that's why I don't like black cats to cross my path either. Maybe I just indistinctly picked that up somewhere in my childhood.
Do you throw salt over your shoulder when you spill it?
No,
No.
no, no, I don't do that. But, I do knock wood. I mean, I know you've heard me say it at work or, when we're around in the office or whatever. And Uh, I'm not I don't believe in superstitions. Let's go on and throw this out there. However, I say why tip fate.
Right. Right.
Uh,
You
so
need
and
all the
the
help you can get sometimes.
I need all the help I can get all the time. Uh, so let's get into some global variations here. So the UK, Australia, you know, they say touch wood instead of knock wood.
And in Germany, knock on wood 3 times to avoid tempting fate, sometimes while saying toy, toy, toy.
Hmm. And in Spain, knock on wood to avoid bad luck, especially after complimenting someone. So kind of the same here in the US. You knock on wood after saying something good to keep from having bad luck, to avoid bad luck. So kind of the same.
Right. And as we mentioned earlier, in Turkey, you tug on an ear and knock twice.
Yeah. And in Brazil, knock on wood 3 times to drive away envy or the evil eye. Brazil has a lot of superstitions or folklore or traditions around envy. I think we should look into that in the future.
For sure. For sure.
But honestly and truly, so despite these cultural differences, the common theme is protection from fate or bad luck or unforeseen circumstances just by knocking, touching wood. So, yeah, it reinforces and instills that protection, right?
Absolutely. Before we get into pop culture and everyday life, let's take a break.
Yeah, let's do it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Looking for your favorite band, team, or TV show, maybe that movie? Since 1969, Old Glory has been the ultimate destination for officially licensed merchandise, with over 300,000 items in music, sports, movies, TVs, and popular culture. And you have Christmas coming up. Have that hard to find person that you're looking for? Check out Old Glory. At checkout, use our exclusive listener discount code and get 15% off any product. All you have to do is put InfoGo in at checkout. That's InfoGo at oldglory.com. You can find the link in the show notes.
Are you too hot at night? Well, say hello to the world's softest sheets. Cozy Earth's bamboo sheet set keeps you cool, dry, and comfy all night long. It's made from bamboo. They're moisture wicking, breathable, and get even softer with every wash. Did you even know that you can make sheets out of bamboo? I didn't. I thought that was awesome. And they have pajama sets. Pure cozy elegance, stylish, silky, praised on Good Morning America and in style, and backed by thousands of 5-star reviews. You can't beat the 100-night sleep trial and free shipping on over $50 plus a 10-year warranty for sheets. 41% off any product with code INFOGO at CozyEarth.com. Make sure you find the link in the show notes. Now that we're back, let's get into some pop culture and everyday life. References in movies, songs, and everyday expressions like Stevie Wonder's Knock Me Off My Feet lyric, Knock on Wood Baby,
What
and
about Eddie Floyd's 1966 hit, Knock on Wood? A superstition as a metaphor for love and luck.
right, right. And of course, TV and film often show characters knocking on wood to break tension or reverse a jinx. And the gesture has become shorthand for hope, optimism, and self awareness.
Even atheists and rationalists often knock on wood, which is a sign that old beliefs can outlive their faith, and spawn new ones or kind of reinstill what we were talking about, what was handed down from generations.
So, when you stop to think about it, that simple phrase, knock on wood, actually connects us to thousands of years of human traditions. From the sacred oaks of the Celts to Christian relics, and even how we think about luck and psychology today, it's amazing how this little gesture has lasted through time.
So, what started as a way to call on, the spirits to protect us from unseen forces, it's really turned into something almost everyone does. And, it might be a small universal sign of hope and good fortune.
So, whether it's rooted in faith, habit, or just a bit of playful superstition, knocking on wood is a reminder that even in our modern world, we're still carrying a piece of the ancient world with us.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty fun.
It was. It was. I
So,
knew that it had to stem somewhere before Christianity. Of course, I never really heard that it was linked to the cross.
yeah, I have kinda, but uh, you know how things, you ever played the telephone game?
Yeah, for sure.
So, you don't really know until you get into it and you start digging around and figuring out what is fact and what is fiction and what's folklore been handed down. Getting back to the ancient beliefs that, because wood really symbolized life for them, because without it, they couldn't make tools to hunt or homes to live or fire. Like they
Right.
needed wood.
It was held just as sacred as hunting.
Yeah. So, so my question to you is, do you knock on wood?
Yeah, actually, I do.
I do too, but I'm like I said, I'm not superstitious. I just honestly and truly just don't think we should tempt fate if we can avoid it.
I agree. I agree. Well,
Um,
I think
so
that's it for us in this episode.
yeah, I think that pretty much does it.
If you would like to support this podcast, tell a friend and help get the word out.
Yeah, if you would like to help us keep the show going, you can do so at Patreon, and you can get shows in advance over there.
And as always, William and I want to thank you for listening for our old listeners and new ones.
Yes, without you, we wouldn't have a show. So thank you.
Join the Facebook group at Info on the Go
Over there, you can share with us your show ideas.
or ask us a question.
Make sure you subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Send us a text using the link in the show notes or leave a review.
It does help others find us. You can also email us at,
Info on the Go podcast at gmail.com.
and you can find that link in the show notes. Till next time.
Stay curious.